Hi, I'm Lori Cooch. Welcome back to another Makers with Heart video. We do these every single month, and I'm making sure this is recording. And they release always at the same time, and there's 7 of us, so you'll want to watch all 7 videos, and you will find those in my playlist as well as in the description below this video. This month, our challenge is how do you add color? So I'm going to do a really bright card. And if you've watched any of my videos in the past, you know that I am a Distress Oxide girl. So we're going to be doing a lot of inking with the Distress Oxides. And we're going to be using the new Close to My Heart die cutting and embossing machine. So if you're not familiar with this, it's what you can run your thin cuts through. It comes with, let me grab them. It comes with an adapter plate that is 6x13, a cutting mat that is 6x13, and a platform that is 6x13. And that comes with the machine. It's $119.95. And then there's an additional magnetic cutting mat that you can purchase that you can add with it. And I'm trying to find that to tell you how much it is. Maybe those are out of stock right now. So I don't see that on there. I think they're out of stock, but you'll definitely want one. What makes this machine really good is that you can adjust the tension so you don't have to shim it anymore that you do with some of the other machines. But so we're going to be using, so some other things I'm going to be using are some discontinued items. I'm going to be using the Sunburst background stamp and thin cut. And then I'm also going to be using the Stitch Together card making stamp and thin cut. So we're going to be doing some fun things with that. Like I said, we're going to be using Distress Oxides. It's going to be so bright, and it's such a fun card. And we're going to be using the Happy Happy from the Stitch Together. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up this Sunburst thin cut and get it out of the plastic. So this die cutting machine comes with instructions somewhere. There we go. So it comes with the instructions, and it tells you that for thin cuts, we're going to be using the cutting mat, our paper, our cutting die, and the standard platform. But I'm going to be using the magnetic mat. So we're going to throw that in there instead of the cutting mat. You'll see that they are the same thickness. So let's do that. When you open this up, it's got sections on the bottom, which is not going to suction to my little table here, but if you were on a regular surface, it would automatically suction down to your table. And I'm going to turn the knob. There's some knobs over here. You have 3D emboss, letter, 2D emboss, and die cut. So I'm going to just turn that to die cut. And I'm going to leave the pressure right where it is. I'm going to turn this around so I can get to the handle. So I'm going to put the platform down. And then I'm going to take some cardstock, just some white daisy cardstock that I have pre-cut, and I'm going to put my die on the magnetic platform, and then I'm going to put my paper on top of it, and I'm going to put it upside down through the machine, and we're just going to crank it through. And again, I did not address the tension on this at all, and I'm going to just go back through. And this is my first time using this machine. I do have some other machines, and it looks like I do need to adjust the tension a little bit. It did not cut all the way through like I had hoped it would, but that's what the tension's for. So now I'm going to turn it back around and adjust this tension a little bit. you just push it in and tighten it up a little bit. Ooh, that should work. And we'll do it again. So it makes it a lot easier than having to shim things all the time. Oh yeah, you can totally hear it working now. Perfect. So it totally cut out everything we wanted it to. So I'm going to just clean this off. And pop out our pieces. Give me just a second to do that. I was so excited to get this machine because my big shot was getting old and I was having problems with it always cutting. So there's our piece. Totally cut out the way we wanted. We can set that aside. Next, I'm going to get our 2 thin cuts for the happy. And actually, you know what? I think we're going to ink our paper before we cut those. So then we'll have more of a fun little, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Okay, so before we distress oxide on your work surface, you always want to put down your Versamat because you don't want to get ink everywhere. And since this is a sunburst, I'm going to use the mustard seed and the spiced marmalade inks to get that sun effect. So I'm going to start with the darker one, the spiced marmalade. And I'm going to just kind of start in the center and work my way out. And I probably should have inked this prior to cutting it because these are pretty thin. And I'm leaving that all different, so it's shaded different because you can see that that's a little darker over here than it is here. And now I'm going to come in with the mustard seed and blend right into it and come around the edges. And I'm going to be using a lot of colors on this. It's going to be so bright, which is what I love. I love bright, cheerful cards. Oop, I just bent it. That's what I was hoping not to do. And I'm going to just put in some of the spice marmalade around the edges. Okay. And the next thing we're going to do is our card front. And I'm going to do this in brighter tones. So I'm thinking peacock feather and mermaid lagoon. We're going to do some blues. So I'll make that orange and yellow pop right off the card front. So I'll do the peacock feather first. And I'm going to fold this. And I'm just going to cover the whole front in just random inking. And then I'm going to come in with the Mermaid Lagoon. And blend right into it. I'm using our, they're called mini ink blenders, and they're perfect for blending this ink in. And we'll come back in with a little bit more. Of the, whatever color this is, peacock feather, nope. Yeah, peacock feathers. So it turned it a little bit green where the inks overlapped, which is perfect. Gives us some little varied shades. And set those aside. Now you can spritz this with water, and for some reason I don't see my spritzer. But I do have some water. Oh, there, it's right in front of my face. So I'm going to just spritz it, and then it's going to give it that distressed look everywhere the water touches it. And I'm going to set that over here to dry while we move on. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do some white cardstock that we're going to then cut our Happy Happy out of. And let's see, what color shall we use for that? Let's add Picked Raspberry and Abandoned Coral. I told you this is going to be bright. And I just Velcro my ink pads to the bottom so that I always have the right colors pads. And it's not clean. You're going to get messy. So I'm just going to, again, do some random inking up of this. I'm just going right over the top so we get some variegated colors. And my mat was still wet, and so I got a little bit of wet on here, which is fine. I just inked this on the wrong one. And I think that's going to be big enough to do our 2 ink dies, or not ink dies, thin cut dies. So get these out of the way. And then I'll come back with my Happy die cuts. And I hope this is big enough. And it will be. So because I don't want these to move, I'm just going to grab some washi tape and tape them down where I want them to stay. This one did not stay where I wanted it, or did not. Okay. Now we're going to get our die cut machine back out. And adding the color is just so fun. There's Close to My Heart has so many options. We have our tri-blend markers. We have our exclusive inks. We have watercolor pencils. We have, what's that stuff called? Glossy sprays. So there's plenty of options for what you can do to add color to your project. I'm just a Distress Oxide person, so that's what I'm going to be doing the most of. So I'm just putting this with our mat, and of course it came undone. My tape, your tape doesn't always like to stick onto the wet ink. So I've just got it face down on my mat again, and I'm going to run those through. Oh, and this has extra storage as well, so you can store on both sides your thin cuts or some scissors or some tweezers or whatever you want to take along with you. I think I lost part of my thing. I think I just threw it on the floor when I swept that off. So I'm gonna have to find that. Or I might just use the big happy alone instead of both. Let's just see how this looks. I needed to shim this more. Let's see how if I can get this out. Not shim it, put the tension on. So I don't know about you, but I always have a hard time finding the little shim pieces that I have for my Big Shot and my Cuttlebug. So this will be okay. So I'm just popping out these little pieces. I was going to do these before I usually do, but I wanted you to see the new thin cut or the new die cut machine. And if I would have just added a little bit more pressure, this would have cut and came out a lot more smoother. So while I do this, there's some specials going on this month. If you did not know, we have the Stamptacular sale. So you can get some really great stamp pads for like 50% off, up to 50% off. So you'll want to check those out. And those are all just right on my website. You just go to my site, which is linked below, and you'll see this promotion called Stamptacular. We do this sale once a year, and it's a great way to get the stamps you've been wanting at a discount. Okay, so we have Happy, and I think I'm just not even going to worry about the other piece because this one looks really good the way it is. So now where we spritzed that, you can see it distressed. And I'm going to put this on here like so. I'm going to get rid of this now because you'll see the back of my card is now all covered in ink. I will put something back there to hide that. I'm just going to take some liquid glue. You could use thin cuts, not thin cuts. Oh my gosh, you guys, I am losing it tonight. You could use tape runner. I think, there we go. Just gonna run an ink. Oh my gosh, a blob of this glue down. Oh, it's coming out. There we go. My fine tip got clogged. Be sure and check out the other videos because these makers that are in this group are phenomenal. They're very creative. And I'm just going to throw some adhesive on the bigger piece. And put this down. Liquid glue, it is very forgiving. It allows you to move it until you get it right where you want it. And you'll see it has leaked out a little bit on the sides, and that's okay because it will dry perfectly clear. I do have a little piece of something right there that I don't want. Next, I'm going to take the happy and put it right here. But I'm going to use some puffy tape to do that. So I have all these pieces that are left over from making shaker cards, and I'm just going to kind of strategically put them on there so that they don't go over on the sides. And you don't need a whole bunch because will hold itself up. Yeah, that'll be okay. So I just used 3 little tiny pieces of the foam tape. And we sell that by the roll or in the shaker window things. You'll have extra. So that makes it more 3D. And that's how I add color to projects. Excuse me. I love these Distress Oxides. I was kind of new to them, and once I started using them, I use them all the time on a lot of things, and they're my go-to. I do have all the pens, and I do color, and I have all of our exclusive inks, and I stamp with those. But if I want to do something fun and really bright, I use the Distress Oxides. So there is my project. Be sure and check out that Stamptacular sale. And on the back here where I got ink, you know what? Let's just color it because why not? We can. So I'm going to just throw some ink on the back and make it bright as well. And I think I'm going to stick with the yellows tones. So I'll start with the Spice Marmalade and just ink up the back of this and make the whole card really bright. What is it that that guy says? It's a happy accident? I don't normally ink the backs of my cards, but we can. Why not? And I do have some of the blue in there of the peacock feather. So I will add a touch of that as well to blend in those ink spots that were on my mat. And I'll just add a little everywhere. And then I'm going to come back with the mustard seed and blend it in. So that it's more subtle and not so bold. And I have ink all over my fingers, so that's helping. There. So now we have all of our colors on the back of our card as well. So it's super bright and just super fun. I love getting fun, bright cards in the mail. My friends and I, we send things back and forth quite a bit, and I just love to see what everybody creates. So that's my card. I hope you liked it. If you like this video, please click on the subscribe. Be sure and check out, as I said, the other Makers with Heart videos and add some color to your projects. Don't be afraid to add color. It just adds a fun element to your scrapbook page or your cards. And I'll show you some other projects that I have done. Let me move these out of the way because I don't want to get ink all over everything. I just seen it. My goodness, it's right there. I used the glossy sprays on a project, and I have a video for this as well. So if you want to see this project, check out that video. But you can see the glossy sprays. I splattered it on scrapbook page and did those. I did it on a card. This is also a video that I did, so you can see the glossy sprays. Let me take it out of this. That I splattered on the card front here as well. This is also Distress Oxide Inks. So there's a video for this card as well. So that's in the Makers with Heart. Well, both of these are in the Makers with Heart playlist. So check those out. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll come back. Please click the subscribe. And we'll see you soon. And be sure and come back on the 25th when we have our mystery envelope challenge, which was what this was. We are each given some random things and we have to create with them, and we have specific rules. So that will be fun. And everybody's videos on that will release on the 25th of every month. So thanks for watching. Have a wonderful evening. Just kidding. I did find my little happy. And I liked how that looked. So I ran it through my Xyron. And what it was actually in the die. It was still stuck in the die, and I missed it. And I set it on the card, and I liked how it looked. So I just ran it through my Xyron real quick. I'm going to go around the edges so that we don't have any straggler pieces of the adhesive. Kind of severs that edge. And makes it real smooth when you take it off. I love my Xyron. I use it a lot. And I know a lot of people have expressed concerns about the little straggler pieces. And so that's why I'm doing this, to get rid of those. And I'm just going to take a pair of tweezers and put it on the front of that card. Well, it's hard to do with tweezers. It's hard to do. There. So I liked how that little added dimension it added on there. Kind of blends in, just adds a little bit of 3D effect to it. So I did go ahead and put that on there after I found the piece I lost. So there you go. There's the card. Hope you like it. Thanks for sticking around.